and online with the link provided above. Residents wishing to participate in the public comment or public hearing portion of the agenda may do so by clicking into the participate or call in using the phone number provided as detailed in the agenda. The phone number is 469-708-0487 with a meeting ID of 453-830-518 hashtag. I'm going to start with a quick roll call. To my left, Ann.
Present.
Charity.
Present.
Vince.
Present.
And Ken.
Present.
And myself, Mike Johnson, Chair. I'm here as well. Let's start, and I'm going to take this off by doing the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. All right, so let's start with the approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the May 5th, 2026 meeting minutes as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second it.
Vince, first, second, Ken. And let's see, are there any requests, and I'll start to my right, for any amendments? Ken?
I'm all set. None that I saw.
Vince? Charity?
None that I saw.
Yeah, no?
All set, thanks.
Myself as well. If there's no changes, can we just move to unanimous consent? Thank you. All right. Council communications, correspondence, and committee reports. What I will do is, why don't I start from my left and work to my right, and I'll start with Ann.
Okay, sounds good, thanks. For committee reports, the Open Space and Resiliency Committees didn't meet in May, but both participated in the Gray Community Day, and both will meet in June. I should report that the Cumberland County Soil and Water Conservation District is planning to apply for a Maine Community Action Grant to implement 6 of the priority action steps of, that were part of the recently adopted townwide watershed management plan. The Soil and Water District is focusing on Little Sebago Lake primarily in this grant. An important outcome of the work will be helping the lake and the watershed be eligible for a federal Section 319 grant, as well as some other funding. The work will include a more detailed watershed survey to identify sources of pollution, a survey of the water line to identify where more vegetative buffers are needed, an analysis of culverts in the watershed of Little Sebago, phosphorus loading analysis, a review of potential conservation land that would help support the health of the watershed, and the completion finally of a Little Sebago Lake specific watershed protection plan. Grants due next Monday. The maximum grant amount is $75,000, and both the Open Space and Resiliency Committees are being asked to provide some in-kind support, which they're willing to do. So I'm excited about that. Gray really isn't, the town of Gray is not going to be really on the hook for much in relation to this grant. Along with the Resiliency Committee Chair, Sandy Carter, whose name is Sandy Carter, I met with our fire chief in Gray and the one in New Gloucester, and a New Gloucester Select Board member and a volunteer to discuss a variety of ways to improve emergency management planning in the two towns. Improving emergency management planning was one of the 5 priorities that Gray residents identified through a public process about 3 or 4 years ago. And we're looking at it from a pretty wide lens. I'll continue to bring updates to the council. I did attend Gray Community Day. It was a great event. Thanks to Lacey and the other volunteers who helped her and the staff for their work in organizing it, and to all the other groups who had tables there and the people who showed up to learn about what was happening in town. And I attended a Coffee with the Cop event at Dunkin' Donuts in Gray last Thursday. It was a really fun opportunity to meet the deputies and talk with Sheriff Joyce. So that was fun. There were a number of other Gray residents there as well. That's it for me.
All right, thank you. Charity.
Yeah, a couple of things to just discuss. The Blueberry Festival Committee met on May 12th. Planning for the festival is moving forward. Really excited. The committee discussed having a float in the Gray Memorial Day Parade. Not sure if they were successful with the rain, but hopefully they had success with that. We discussed t-shirt sales and what sized shirts folks would like to see available for purchase this year. Recommendations were made for that. Discussion of having a climbing wall and how much, if any, we should charge for use of the wall. There was a discussion of participating in the Gray Community Day. Committee plans to meet again this month. However, the date is to be determined. The Dry Mills Schoolhouse Committee did meet on May 18th. I was unfortunately unable to attend, and the meeting minutes have not been released as of yet. But I'm sure they'll be doing that within the next couple of weeks and posting them online. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go to Ken.
So myself, Council Palangi, and Chair Johnson, we presented awards at the Volunteer Recognition Awards dinner held at Spring Meadows. It was really an excellent event, top notch. Thanks to Britt and Inger. They did a great job. And I want to also thank all the staff that attended. John Powers was there, Lauren was there, Anthony and Nellie was there from the rec. Judy Simino, she's on the committee for finance. Bob Coleman was there. David Hall from the planning board was there. So that was a really great event, and I enjoyed it a lot. And thank you to the volunteers who give up their time and their land for their community. It was really, really a nice event. I also participated in the Memorial Day Parade with my family, Connie, Megan, Andrew, Caitlin, and my grandson, Alden. Connie told me to bring a lot of candy, but unfortunately I didn't listen to her, so we ran out about 100 feet into it. So that was a little disappointing, but shout out to Tim Estes. He showed up, took time out of his day, brought a public works dump truck, and to the fire department, they brought a fire truck, an ambulance, directed traffic. And Steve Emergen stopped and thanked us all for our passing, for the banners up for the veterans. So he thanked me, but I'll pass it all on to you guys. So you did a great job, and he was really appreciative of that, to get that done before Memorial Day. And thanks to Britt for getting all the paperwork in time. And that's all I have. Oh, and seeing this is my last meeting, I want to thank everybody who came out and voted for me last year. I really appreciated that a lot.
Thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. I have several topics to cover tonight. The first is an update with regards to the Ordinance Advisory Committee. We are currently working to review and expand work done by Doug Webster with regards to zoning. This is something that's been in the works for some time. It's very important to the town. The goal is to basically provide a more streamlined and simplified zoning process, when that'll be easy to understand and will set up our town for positive growth. And there'll be more to come on this topic over the next, coming months. As Ken alluded to, several councilors took the time to attend and to show their appreciation for the recent volunteer dinner. Even though Councilor Farrington is stepping down, he took the time to attend along with Councilor Johnson and myself. The staff that was involved with setting up the awards dinner did a great job. And we once again wants to congratulate the reward recipients, but also want to say a special thank you to all of those who volunteer in our town. Although we only had so many awards to give out, we really appreciate everybody that takes part in our town. A mailer was recently sent out from the town overviewing the upcoming tax changes for the school, county, and the municipality as they stand today. Taxes are up across the board. Cumberland County alone is over 16% increase, as taxes are a major pain point for so many families here in town. Several town council members have heard the request of the silent majority and have put forward a solid budget which controls taxes. I was provided with some interesting numbers showing inflation in the U.S. over the past 10 years, which has averaged around 3.3%. Gray, based on our municipal tax increases over that same time period, tops 7%. And it'd actually even be higher if not for certain town council members controlling spending last year and this year, putting together a solid budget. I speak for myself on this part. I support this municipal budget, and if voted down on June 9th, it's almost certain that the municipal budget will increase by hundreds of thousands of dollars along with your taxes. The silent majority needs to show up on June 9th to pass the budget and to say no to higher taxes. Let's work together to keep Gray affordable. I have seen several online posts with regards to the sheriff's situation and have been deeply disappointed with regards to the amount of inaccurate and misleading information being put forward. Simply presenting information provided by any organization as fact who are looking to keep an agreement in place that benefits them in any way is short-sighted. It's imperative that we always do additional research in order to do what's best for our town. Last week I attended GPCOG Annual Summit, which is the Greater Portland Council of Governments, and ironically, they discussed such online posts. They referenced a study which found that 70% of the time, these posts are actually in the minority, and therefore statements made by individuals do not speak for the silent majority. All candidates running for the open town council seats have stated they would revisit this topic, and we as councilors have already been discussing various ideas along with the formation of an ad hoc committee to review this topic. Our goal is to support and protect this town, but not at a cost that takes advantage of or overtaxes our residents. Lastly, of late, we have heard the word honesty and transparency thrown around quite a bit. And with that in mind, I want to discuss a topic that has come up several times over the past few weeks, which needs clarification prior to the June 9th election. Multiple people have reached out stating that they are concerned about a conflict of interest with potential councilors. Councilors, whether they vote or do not vote, have leverage that could potentially influence the town manager, which includes doing their annual review, their compensation, or other financial matters. For clarity and full transparency, we have already reached out to legal counsel for advice regarding these matters at a cost of several $100s per hour. We spend a lot of money with our town attorneys getting opinions and written direction, and we would prefer to stay away from conflicts of interest. Considering the wide range of work done by the council over the course of a 3-year term, it could potentially cost taxpayers tens of thousands of dollars in additional legal fees. This could also lead to a split vote among other issues if a member of the council must recuse himself for any reason, leaving just 4 councilors. One thing is clear, our town charter and town council rules do need some changes to protect the best interests of the town. And ultimately, it's up to each resident with regards to how they want to vote on June 9th. The town council simply wants to fully be transparent with regards to this matter, along with explaining potential costs, struggles that we may endure, as this information should be understood and be aware for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this is my final chair update, and if you guys want to get up and cheer, you can. I will share some personal thoughts towards the end, but I do want to thank some people. As I was walking out the door, I walked back in, and I was going to do this last, but since I put them last in my life for this past year, I think I'm going to put them first. I do want to thank my wife, Jenny. I want to thank you for supporting me through all this year. You were never completely sold on me running for council, and you've often reminded me that no good deed goes unpunished. Looking back, you may have been right, but regardless, thank you for standing beside me. Through all the long nights, the phone calls, the messages, and everything that's come with this role. To my children, Hunter, Matt, and Noah, I learned from my father how important it is to give back to your community. And I hope I have set a good example for each of you. Public service matters, helping others matters, and being involved matters. That said, if you take one piece of my advice from me, stay away from town politics. To my mom, thank you for always being in my corner. No matter what was happening, I always know I had your support, and that means more than you know. You expect support from your family and your close friends. What surprised me this year were the people who reached out that I least expected, and it was often at the right moment. Mike Lassard, Gary Robbins, Dr. Harvey, Penny, Sam. Your calls, messages, and texts and words of encouragement meant more than you could probably realize. Sometimes a simple conversation comes at exactly the right time. Ben and Kathleen, thank you for helping me stay out of jail. I'm kind of only half joking. I'd also like to thank all the department heads and town employees who showed support throughout the year. I came into this role believing I was doing this solely for the citizens of Gray. What I learned is that our employees sometimes need support and protection too. The overwhelming majority of them come to work every day because they genuinely do care about this town and the people who live in it. Finally, I do want to thank the residents of Gray. Whether you supported me, disagreed with me, criticized me, challenged me, or encouraged me, I do appreciate every one of you. You care enough about this town to get involved, and that's really what makes it important. The committee meetings that I attended over the last few weeks, I recently attended the Finance Committee meeting. One of the ongoing discussions has been defining the committee's role, determining whether the current structure is really the right one, and identifying ways to improve the process going forward. You know, I do believe we are headed in the right direction. Municipal accounting is very different from traditional public accounting, and understanding those differences is important. For example, when you're reviewing finances and you're looking at the February numbers, they reflect what has been received and recorded at that time. However, if an invoice for a February project comes in June, municipal accounting practices may require it to be applied back to February, which results in financial reports that change over time and can be very confusing. You know, when you compare that with, you know, with how what I call regular accounting, that's not normal, and it can complete some, can be complicated at times. You know, one of the ideas discussed was improving the documentation included with large purchases and warrants. You know, for example, if the town purchases a $120,000 police vehicle, the warrant should include the warrant article, authorizing the purchase, supporting documentation, and any relevant background information provided with that information helps eliminate any confusion, and people aren't running around looking for that information, you know, which is just, we're learning as we go, and it creates transparency. This year, every warrant that left the town hall was signed by either myself and the town chair, or if I was not available, by the vice chair Vince. Supporting document is included with warrants, so councilors can review invoices and accompanying notes before approval. And I think it's really important to say that I think it's been quite a few years since this has been done, and I have always been of the firm belief that if you are going to do it, you do it before the money goes out the door. And I think that it took a little bit to work out a rhythm, but it's worked out well. We come in every week, sometimes a couple times a week, and do it. It's a little time consuming, but it does get done right. I also want to recognize the finance director, Justine Hutchins. She's done an excellent job working through years of different accounting practices, which while helping improve our financial process and accountability. She's also worked closely with the finance committee as everyone continues to evaluate the committee's role and how it can best serve this town. Another positive development this year is the Gray Water District. The council was asked to support a request for federal funding to assist the water main project on the Lewiston Road. We approved a letter, all of us approved it, and I sent it to Senator Collins. Bill Gardner and the Gray Water District team did an outstanding job of seeking out funding opportunities that help keep the cost down to provide reliable services. The town of Gray relies heavily on the water district, particularly on the fire department protection, and we are fortunate to have a team constantly looking for ways to reduce the burden on taxpayers. I was pleased to receive a response, and I think the town also received one as well, from Senator Susan Collins, indicating that she is including the $3.2 million project in her Interior and Environment Appropriations Bill. It's important to know that this does not guarantee the funding, it's just a step forward. If approved, it could save taxpayers millions of dollars. Everyone involved deserves recognition for their efforts. Usually, I've been told when it does make it this far, then it does usually move forward, but we can't guarantee it. I'm also on the Gray Library. The library trustees meet every fourth Tuesday of the month. And while those meetings occasionally conflict with council meetings, I try to make every effort to stay informed. If I don't make it, I always follow up with Andrea. Her and her staff just do an incredible job. The library trust, you know, for a town this size, I don't know if any of you if many people go and use the facilities that are on here. But, you know, we are very fortunate to have such a high-quality library and a dedicated team over there. I encourage everyone to visit the library's website, attend a program, or simply just stop by and see all they have to offer. Because I think most people will be surprised that it's a lot more than just a few books. One of my favorite events every year is recognizing and I just want to thank Denise again, Andrea again. One of the favorite events every year is recognizing the volunteers who make up Gray such a special place to live. And the gentleman to the right, he kind of mentioned that on May 13th. The council had the privilege of honoring several individuals and organizations for their contributions to our community. I'd like to both thank Ken and Vince for helping present the awards. The recipients, I think it's important to mention. Volunteer of the Year was Carla Morrill. Committee of the Year was the Transfer Station Ad Hoc Committee. Organization of the Year was Bling, which stands for Building Livability in New Gloucester, and they're going to have to change it to Blinging because they are now moving into Gray. So I don't know how they're going to get that in the Bling. And let's see, Landowner Appreciation Award was presented to Merritt Foster. Spirit of America Award was presented to Jen Dupuy. Lifetime Achievement Award, Jerry Passingway. And the Evelyn Morrill Durgan Award was presented to Sandy Carter. I just want to say what stands out to me is that nearly every recipient that has stepped up has repeatedly done so year over year. You know, whether it's coaching youth sports, serving on committees, volunteering in events, mentoring others, or simply lending a hand. These individuals make Gray a better community. People like Jared and Sandy have dedicated countless hours to helping others. And they do represent the very best of what Gray is and why it's so important to be in this town. You know, we're really only as strong as our people are and who and what are willing to give back. I encourage anyone interested in volunteering to get involved. And there are numerous committees and organizations and opportunities where your time and talents can make a difference. You know, it doesn't have to be on just the committees that we have here at the town council. There are a lot more. Let's see. As I mentioned, this year has been extremely challenging. So I want to thank a couple people. First, I think I'll, you know, if others want to as well, they can, but I think we need to thank Denise Clavette. You know, to say Denise was drinking from a fire hose would be actually a massive understatement. There were days, weeks, and months where events were unfolding faster than anyone could have reasonably expected to manage. Most people would have been overwhelmed. This wasn't simply about keeping the ship pointed in the right direction. At times, it felt like it was just trying to keep it afloat. Denise stepped in, she worked tirelessly, remained calm under pressure, and helped keep the town moving forward. There were many late-night conversations discussing problems, potential solutions, and she never stopped working for the residents of Gray. Thank you, Denise, for not only stepping up when the town needed you, but also becoming a friend. I want to thank Lauren. When circumstances changed unexpectedly, Lauren stepped up immediately. What was originally expected to be a short-term assignment had turned to something much larger. She has handled it with professionalism and dedication, and the town is fortunate to have her and her leadership. I want to thank Charity for stepping forward this year when we needed help. I have known Charity for approximately 15 years, and her willingness to serve during a difficult period was greatly appreciated. I want to thank Ken Farrington. Before this year, I didn't know Ken personally. Today, I consider him a friend. Being a first-year councilor is incredibly difficult. There really should be a training program because many aspects of the municipal government operate very differently than what people expect. I know Ann and many former councilors, you know, it would be great if we could have people be on committees first and learn a little bit more. And I didn't understand that at first when I was told that. I definitely get that now. Ken did take the role seriously. While we occasionally disagreed, those disagreements were also very respectful. He put it in his time. He asked questions. He worked hard to understand the issues facing the town. Unfortunately, he will not be continuing because of experience. This year would have made him significantly easier. I also want to thank Vince. Vince and I had to find our balance this year, to say the least. We are both strong personalities, and that can create challenges at times. Fortunately, we worked through our challenges and developed a strong working relationship. What I respect most about Vince is his willingness to be honest. During one discussion, concerns were raised about some of my actions. My response was that many of the same behaviors were being exhibited by the people making the criticism. Vince did acknowledge that reality, and I respect him for that. Not everyone is willing to do that. I believe Vince will be a tremendous asset to this council and the town of Gray. I have served in the council with Ann for several years now. There's no question that she is passionate about the causes she believes in and has dedicated a tremendous amount of time to volunteering in our community. Where Ann and I differ is our approach to governing. Earlier this year, Ann told me that if you're going to be an effective counselor, you can't worry about what people think and that you need to have a backbone. I understand what she meant, and I agree that elected officials can't make every decision based on popularity. However, I also believe that listening to people matters, that we work for residents of Gray. We may not always agree with them, and we certainly cannot make everyone happy, but understanding their concerns and considering their perspectives is one of the most important responsibilities we have. My frustration this year was never really about, politics. I have worked very well with councils who share many of Ann's views. My concern has always been about priorities and process. I do believe that the council's responsibility is not to focus on any single issue, project, or cause. Our responsibility is to look at the entire town and make decisions that balance the needs of all residents. One of the biggest lessons I learned this year is that good intentions are not enough. Every person serving the council wants what they believe in is best for Gray. The challenge is that wanting to do the right thing and doing work necessary to ensure the right decision is not always the same thing. Due diligence does matter. Reviewing contract matters, understanding long-term cost matters, and asking some difficult questions matters. Many of the financial challenges we face today didn't happen overnight. Budgets don't double in 1 year. They grow over time when elected officials stop asking the tough questions and fail to examine recommendations closely. As we have seen this year, decisions made years ago can affect taxpayers long after we have gone. Closing, I'd just like to say that one of my biggest flaws is that I do generally try to make everyone happy. I want to find solutions that make for as many people as possible happy. I know many residents were frustrated with parts of the budget process, and I agree that the public should have more opportunities for input early in the process. That is something I hope that this future council, or the future council coming in, does approve upon. I've also seen many discussions suggesting the budget vote, and it should be more than about one issue, about the coverage. I don't think it should be just one. I think that it should be about everything. Public safety is important, but being a counselor is about more than just that single issue. It's about the roads, public works, fire protection, economic development, employee retention, capital planning, budgeting, ensuring taxpayer dollars are spent responsibly. When we were forced to make difficult decisions, the additional police coverage contract was the area where we believe judgments could be made while still maintaining county coverage. This does not mean we should stop searching for solutions. It means we should fully evaluate all options before committing taxpayers to significant long-term contracts. That is why I do support the creation of an ad hoc committee. The same approach worked well at the transfer station and can work well here. We should identify the town's needs, evaluate every available option, and then make an informed decision based on facts rather than the emotion or political pressure. I tried to put this in here just because I had a lot of people on both sides asking questions, and I thought this is the best way to address it. I may not have always been right, and I certainly did not make everyone happy this year, but every decision I made was based on what I was believed for the best of the town of Gray as a whole. I did try to listen. I tried to ask questions. I did try to do the work. Most importantly, I tried to represent everyone, including those who strongly disagree with me. It's been a privilege to work with you guys, and thank you guys very much. All right. And now we're moving to Lauren's report.
Good evening. Just a few things. I wanted to let everybody know that John Powers has been promoted to the Director of Recycling and Solid Waste. He's been working for the town since 2020 and recently took over as the interim deputy director of that department. He's done a terrific job. Public seems to be really pleased with what's going on there. It's more streamlined. The layout is much smoother. So I wanted to thank John publicly and congratulate him, and looking forward to more progress there. Our Director of Communications and IT, Kyle Hadiniak, recently conducted an internal survey of 7 staff members that use Microsoft Copilot. The results indicate that Microsoft Copilot generates an estimated 31 hours of time savings per week for those 7 employees. And after accounting for the licensing costs for those licenses, that's about $2,500. The annual productivity savings, close to about $65,000. So the respondents rated Copilot as very valuable, agreeing it improves work quality, particularly for drafting content, summarizing information, research, brainstorming, and data analysis. And so there's a strong return on investment, and hopefully we'll be able to fund more of those licenses in the future. I personally use it myself, so it's really helpful in day-to-day operations. Also, with the assistance of our Fire Chief, Kurt Elkanik, Kyle was able to use their drone to obtain updated pictures of the transfer station. The solid waste facility has now turned away 242 non-residents with random permit enforcement checks at the gates since October. Public Works Department has just finished paving Merrill and Mail roads, and they're extremely pleased with the work of a new contractor who was awarded the bid this year. And the Public Works Department is also accepting bids for private road winter maintenance, and information can be found on the Town of Gray website at www.graymaine.org, or you can just call the town office if you need more information. Election Day is next Tuesday, June 9th at New Begin Gym, and the polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And that is all I have.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So the next is council discussion regarding the town manager search. I think I kind of alluded it a little earlier about what's been happening a little bit this year, the replacement, and I talked to every counselor. Originally, the thought process was for an interim town manager, we were going to do a fairly significant search. And I think Lauren has proved herself very well. I've talked to all of the other counselors, and it really makes sense to let Lauren, and I'm going to let all the counselors have their input here as well, let Lauren just stay on for the next 6 months, because I think it's really important that the next council takes the opportunity and the time to find the next town manager. To try to force that in now, I think is inappropriate. And I know a lot of citizens want to be involved in that search. After calling the attorneys and getting some advice and calling all the counselors, we all thought it was a good idea to let Lauren stay on for the next 6 months while the next council comes up with a plan and does the search, conducts the interviews, and makes that decision. I would love to see Lauren throw her hat in the ring, and it's a lot of time. I know Ann could probably elaborate more on how much involvement it is in finding a new counselor, and and the importance of finding the right one. And after speaking with her and the others, I think this is the best choice for now. And I'll make a comment at the end, but Ann, would you like to speak next?
Yeah, I think that I agree that Lauren should stay on as our interim. I think that there's no need for a change there at this point. She's doing a great job. And in terms of the search, it's obviously impossible between now and next Tuesday to hire a new town manager, so it's going to be on the next council. I think we should cast our net broadly, just as we have done before. But I don't know if you noticed or were able to catch in the Sunday Maine Sunday Telegram, I think there was an article about why is it so hard to retain town managers, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, there just aren't as many people interested in the work at this point. And so it's a challenge, right? And I think every time, people are rude to the staff and unkind, then I think I sort of in my head I hear ka-ching, 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 because word spreads and it gets, you start developing a reputation of a town that's hard to work in, and then you got to pay more to attract quality candidates. So I feel like Gray has a lot to offer as a community. I think Mike said it well. I mean, we have a lot of great volunteers and are working on some great stuff. The Village Transformation Project is just one of them. So I think we have a lot to offer. I think there's been some talk about whether that the town manager, we should require that the town managers live in town. Our charter says that we'd like that to happen, but the council can waive that. Myself, we already have a limited pool, right? That's what that article was about. And to require that the person live in town when they may own a house elsewhere, maybe that they bought with lower interest rates, their kids are in school there. It doesn't make sense to me to require that the town manager live in town. And I personally think we should go out to bid for a consultant to manage the process. I don't think it's appropriate for a council member to run that process. And it's a lot of work. We have to put together, any updates to the, that we might want to make to the job description and to the notice, and then set up all the interviews and then do the background research. So I think that we should hire somebody to help us manage that process.
Excellent, thank you.
I'm perfectly happy to have Lauren stay on for the next 6 months if she's willing to do so. I haven't had any complaints. I think you've been doing an excellent job.
Thank you.
And there's food for thought for the next town manager search. I think if it is hired out, that it should be whoever is hired to do the search. The town council also does basically like a background check on the entity doing the search for us, and just follow up and make sure that they've done a thorough process of vetting managers or qualified managers for us. So that's my thoughts on
All
it.
right, thanks. Vince?
Unfortunately, I'm limited to some extent by what I can say. I just believe the prior process was flawed, and I'm personally not willing, on hiring whoever we get, to cut any corners. I think giving Lauren this opportunity really to spread her wings, I can tell you, with her in this position, the communication is excellent, the follow-up is excellent, and I think she brings a nice level of calmness to the staff. I've talked to people individually, they're very happy with her, and I am more than supportive of putting her in this position for 6 months and then stepping back to see where things are, to take a look if it's something we feel that we can do on our own, we do it. If we have to hire a consultant, I guess we have to do that. I'd prefer not to, because there's obviously cost. But again, I think right now she is the perfect person in this position, and I think she's proven herself, and I think she's earned the opportunity to have another 6 months to see what she can do.
Thank you.
Well, it was quite a year. We came in with a failed budget, 3 town managers, got scammed out $104,000, fire truck fiasco we had to solve. So yeah, Lauren has stepped in. It seems like the town is going in the right direction, and I think she's going to be a perfect fit. Hopefully she'll throw her head in for a permanent town manager, but I definitely think for the next 6 months she's going to be great.
Awesome, thank you. And, I just want to say last, see, Ann and I can get along, because most of what she said I absolutely agree with. I think that, if we need to do a full search, I don't think it's appropriate for the council to do that themselves. It's too time consuming, and it is a position that we want to pay for. I don't want to spend money, but I think that if we are going to do a search outside of here, then we want to hold somebody liable to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and I absolutely agree there. I do think that we need to find the right candidate, and also I used to have a different opinion that I did feel when I first came into this position 2 years ago, that the person should live here. And now I definitely feel different. I think that we need to find the right candidate first. That should be more of the concern. And that is really what matters. Can they fit in the community? I do understand, because I was one of the people that felt like if they're not paying taxes in this town, then they don't care about the growth. And there is some truth to that, but I think I have to be more concerned with how they're going to grow this town. Are they going to do the right job? Can they deal with our employees? And I actually think right now Lauren, has been able to work with all of us, and there's quite a few different personalities on this board. I think that I have not heard one complaint from any of the employees. It's actually just the opposite. She's got a great demeanor about her, and I think she's definitely the right fit for while we look into the next steps. And I think you are okay with this.
I am.
And if you want to say a couple things, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, I truly appreciate all of your kind words and support, and I have really enjoyed the last few months working with you and the staff and the public. And I've been working for the town for 8.5 years, and I am looking forward to what this town can do and what we can bring to just invite people to want to be here. And so I just really appreciate everybody's support, and I'm looking forward to the next 6 months.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else? All right, thanks. All right. Moving on. All right, so now we're going to go to the public comment section of non-agenda items. The public is invited to address the council on any item of business not on the agenda for tonight's meeting. Note to the citizens have the right and are encouraged to speak during public comment regarding items not on the agenda or regarding an item at the time in which it does not appear on the agenda prior to the council beginning its deliberations. All comments and questions during the public comment or on the agenda item are limited to no more than 3 minutes. Anyone in attendance or in person or remotely who wishes to speak will have an opportunity to speak once. The chair may allow any individual or person who has already addressed the council during public comment or an agenda item or during a public hearing to speak again, but really only if it's to clarify a point or share a new and previously unheard point of view. This is not intended as a time for a debate. This chair will close public comment as soon as no new information is being presented. And if you need to call in, it is 469-708-0487 with a meeting ID of 453-830-518. Kyle, before we have people come up, is there anybody online waiting? Because I've never done it this way, so.
There is somebody online, but it does not look like this person has raised their hand to talk.
Okay, if they do, just speak up to me.
Sure.
Please. All right, is there anybody that would like to get up and speak? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, bear with me because I forgot my papers at home and even with glasses I can't see very well. So I want to address social media. Oh, sorry, Maureen Gilbert. I want to address social media. I don't know what the policy is for town councilors, but on May 28th, the council chair, Mike, you posted about citizens supporting, sorry, I apologize, about citizens that support a no vote on the budget on the Great New Gloucester Bulletin Uncensored Facebook page. which is not affiliated with a town nor the town council. However, I wasn't able to read it or comment because you blocked me. I don't know, I read that part, sorry. I would think that posting on an unaffiliated page and blocking citizens is inappropriate. I did obtain a copy of that and will address it shortly. First, the chair also posted on the above page on 5/9. That post with comments was removed shortly thereafter. The same post was posted on another unaffiliated Facebook page, The Gray News, with comments disabled, thus preventing citizens from commenting and asking questions. The post was in defense of cutting the contract with the Cumberland County Sheriff's Department. Here are some quotes from that post. The only way to hold the budget where it was to reduce approximately $650,000 in spending. The options were difficult. The equivalent cuts would have been rough. And at this point, you noted that the equivalent would be 7 town positions. As we reviewed the budget line by line, one expense continued to stand out, law enforcement. However, after spending countless hours reviewing the numbers along with another counselor, and I don't understand why only 2 counselors reviewed this and then did not present the numbers. The decision ultimately came down to balancing fiscal responsibility while continuing to fight for our employees and listening to residents. Until the last few weeks, I had never heard of many of the people now speaking out, myself included, I'm sure. Many had never attended a meeting or joined a committee. So this bothers me because does that mean that if I have not frequently attended meetings and have never served on a committee, does that mean I should not have a voice? Are the only people who are allowed to have a voice those that have done so? Should my concerns not be taken seriously? The next quote, I also heard there's now a push to vote the budget down entirely. That is extremely concerning. If the budget fails, we will be forced to make even deeper cuts. Please do not hurt our employees. I did everything I could this year to protect them. If future counselors later decide to restore the shared funding, layoffs will certainly follow. This is 100% not true. You do not have to cut when the budget is voted down. You can increase, you can decrease, you can make any kind of changes. Furthermore, threatening to cut employees if the budget is not passed is simply a scare tactic. You're essentially saying that people need to vote yes on the budget or they will be responsible for employees losing their jobs. You cannot say it's either or, and you cannot say that cutting positions is an alternative to public safety.
You need to just close this up, please. You're
Sure.
over your minute.
So for the 528 post, I cannot comment because I'm closing it out, but I will say that it is very negative towards those of us that are asking to restore the budget, restore the contract and vote no on the budget. Sorry, one last thing. And you're right when you say it's about more than the deputy contract. It's about the fact that citizens had no input, there was no debate.
Okay, we need it.
Sorry.
Everyone else could, and I'm just gonna make a point of clarification. I'm not gonna, but all I'm gonna say is that I don't have control of how that stuff gets deleted or who gets blocked. That's not anything to do with me, okay? So I put it out there. What happened after that, I didn't do anything, okay?
I mean, you might not have deleted it.
Okay,
but I also
Thank you.
think, know,
thank you. All
that-
right, good. Mr. Moore?
Judy Semino, Arlington Court. I just want to say thank you to the town councilors. I know it's been a tough year. I mean, like Ken said, 3 town managers, fire truck, lawsuit. I mean, there's been so much on this town council to deal with. I don't think any other year has been as bad as this one. And I know we've been hard. I've been hard on the council at times, and I apologize if I've given you sleepless nights. It was never my intention. But I just want to really put a shout out to all of you that worked so hard this year. Ken, especially being new on the council, I know we put a lot of hours in Charity, you're being new this year. I know it was time consuming. And I know being chair, Mike, that you've taken a lot of heat and it doesn't seem to end. I look at social media as a dumping ground for drama. I can't stand social media. It's just like, wow. So I just want to say thank you to all of you, Vinny, all of you. And I'm excited for Lauren to be for 6 months. I think it's a great plus for the town. I think she's very positive and real sharp on her feet. So I'm pretty excited about that. So I'm running for town council. I hope I'm up there this year. So I hope we can work together. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Fran?
Fran Monroe from Gray. And I also would like to thank the Kennan Charity for stepping up for the 1 year. It was a tough year. I know you guys worked very hard, and I do appreciate all your effort. Also, I'd just like to offer a suggestion. The readings that you do about what the public can, the procedure for the public comment, I find that that's a little long. What I would suggest, okay, is that you write it up and post it at the door so people can have that when they come in, they can read it, and then you can do a brief summary of that posting. I think that'll cut the time down on the council minutes and not distract from business itself. So I'd just like to offer that suggestion. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Fran.
Lisa Elena Gilmore, 208 Portland Road. I wanted to thank everyone for serving on the council. It is not the most thankful job. With the elections 1 week away, I'd like to make a few comments. Pam Edson and Judy Simino, in an effort to throw dirt on their opponent, Ashley Zimmerman, have made an issue about his wife being employed in the town, saying that if elected, it would be numerous times he'd have to recuse himself from voting on important council matters. It would have been helpful if they had educated themselves on how recusals are handled by the council and also looked into what the town's attorney said about Mr. Zimmerman serving on the council before they put out false information to the public. Last thing Gray residents need is town councilors spewing misinformation. If the recusal seals were a serious issue, then Judy would have to recuse herself from any vote regarding the village transformation project. She stated many times that it will hurt her business. So I would prefer that she not be allowed to make decisions about the VTP. While Pam isn't married to anyone in town hall, she herself did work here and now continually harasses the people she doesn't care for. At one town meeting, Chair Johnson shared how she harasses him. Pam would need to recuse herself from anything regarding town employees. As a matter of fact, everyone on the town council and everyone running to be on the town council lives in Gray. So if you think about it, everyone should recuse themselves on everything. No one should be allowed to decide what taxes we are going to pay. No one should be able to decide on zoning laws that affect their homes, their lands, or their businesses. Even if you had a driver's license on the council, you shouldn't be able, you have to recuse yourself to set the speed limits in town. I call BS on the whole recusal discussion. Opponents have also tried to discredit candidates by pointing out that they have not served on any committees, just like Ken and Vince and Mike and Charity and Pam have not. Judy, however, when she decided to run for council, did sign up for this year for the first time ever to be on a committee. David Hall is the only candidate that has been working, has a history of service on committees. Regardless, serving on a committee is not a prerequisite for serving on the council. Therefore, it's also a non-issue. It's just a distraction. Just discredit your opponents instead of letting voters know what you stand for and what your vision for our town is. Gray is about friendly, caring neighbors. Social media is tending to destroy that. The fact that one page boasts uncensored speaks for itself. Another page usurped the name of our now defunct but once beloved town newspaper and turned it into an antagonistic online rag. It's sad and it's shameful. I've attended several school board meetings, and you all should do that. The school board is twice as big as this council and easily 10 times more civilized. This council has not been a shining example of our town, frequently nasty and arrogant and snipey and rude. It's often been an embarrassment. We don't need any more of the same. We need smart, thoughtful.
Lacey, time's up, I'm sorry, dude.
Okay,
Sorry.
one more sentence.
You all go ahead.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And just one, again, point of order is that Vince was on the zoning board. I'm going to step out, use the men's room, if you can take
Yeah,
over
go
Vince real quick. I'll be right back.
Oh, you're taking that with you.
Right.
You're good.
I said a point of clarification, I served on the zoning board. Okay, that's okay. Would anybody else like to come up to speak? Anyone? Yep, come on.
Hi, Ashley Zimmerman, Blueberry Lane. Yeah, I got blocked by the council chair too when I offered a couple of points of criticism, which were verifiably incorrect pieces of information he shared about the sheriff contract. In his capacity as council chair, sitting up there on April 7th, he gave false information, which was allowed to proliferate for over a month, that was used to help justify the cut, saying that we didn't have evening or night coverage. It was from 6:30 to 4:30, he said, or 6 to 4:30. People make mistakes, I understand that, but it was used to help justify what was a controversial decision. And I think that's troubling. And there was never any clarification until very unceremoniously it was posted without saying, my bad, I got it wrong. And I think humility is a sign of strength when it comes to elected officials, and we shouldn't be sharing incorrect information to try to justify an agenda. I think that's troubling. And I pointed that out to him, and he blocked me. I made like 2 comments. So apparently he made a post recently, and I wasn't able to see it. It's not that big of a deal, but it does actually bring up First Amendment implications. There's a lot of established case law about this. If he's using his account not for strictly personal reasons, but to disseminate official council and government communications, that is a First Amendment violation. I could sue the town, and I don't think the town wants another lawsuit, and I wouldn't do that. But it's inappropriate, because if he's using his account to post official council communication, which he did on his recent post, I saw a screenshot of it, he said he was speaking as a citizen and as the chair, and signed it as the chair. He cannot block a citizen. That is a First Amendment violation. The Supreme Court has ruled on this multiple times. So I just think it's inappropriate. And I don't think he needs to unblock me. I think that's kind of petty, but I think it's kind of petty to block somebody for airing criticisms, considering multiple other people threw him through the ringer last year when he didn't toe the party line over the library cut. He disagreed with y'all about it and offered some mild criticism, and people crucified him to the point where his wife had to come and defend him on Facebook because he rightfully stood up for something he believed in, and he was just completely crucified for it. I mean, anyone can go back and watch the meetings or read the Facebook posts and see what happened. Apparently, there's just a double standard where it's only certain people are allowed to criticize our elected officials. And other people, when they do it, is characterized as an attack. And I think that's hypocritical and not conducive to town governance and discourse. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe you can unblock me so I can actually read what he posted, because that's actually illegal, what he did. Second point is, I think getting that $3.2 million from Senator Collins is awesome. I think that's like the exact type of creative fundraising that the town needs to be doing. So it doesn't just have to strictly come from budget cuts, and we don't have to lose more important services to try to keep the budget flat. I think that can really help mitigate where we get funds from and mitigate taxpayer burden. I think that's awesome. We should be doing that with more stuff. Kudos to whoever helped facilitate that. I think Mike Johnson said he did that. That's great. I'd like to see more of that. It's an election year, so why not get some of that federal pork and bring it back to Gray? So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to get up to speak? Oh, go ahead, Mike. Thank you.
And while Pam's getting up, since it's my last day as chair, I will mention this. The rest of the committee knows. I apologize. I'm a diabetic, so about every hour I have to run. I just wanted to explain why about every hour I leave these meetings quickly. Sorry, Pam. Thank you.
All right, I'm Pam Edson at 95 Yarmouth Road. I just want to say thank you to Charity and Ken too. I just think that it was a big deal for them to step up. They're two very different people. Charity has the best poker face of anybody I know, and you never know what she's thinking. And Ken, I know every minute what you're thinking. I will be the same if I am up there, I can assure you. And I also just want to say that I am really excited that Lauren is stepped into this position. I think she's a great choice. She would have been my first choice at the very beginning. I think she is smart. I think she's capable, and she's been here. She knows the people. So I just think it's a great choice. I just want to mention, Anne, you had said something earlier that you had mentioned about, people hearing the cha-ching, and a lot of times, it makes it sound like, a town manager might not want to come here because, we seem unkind, but, we're involved, and that's what we're supposed to be. We're involved taxpayers. We care about the taxpayers. We care about ourselves and our wallet. And I think that, we've had 2 town managers that have been very concerned about making our budget big. And it has been, over the last 4 years, probably the biggest increases that our town has seen over these last 2 town managers. I mean, the first one came in with his 2-tier salary increase, that some people got $10,000 and then $12,000, or a total of $22,000 over a 2-year period added to their raise. And mind you, they came here and were happy with the money they got because they took the job. But the same thing followed with Foley. And so, I think that going forward, I hope that we can all, work together to find somebody that is going to be competent and conscientious and can work with everybody. I just want to say that I'm concerned about the audit not being done. We're working on the FY27 budget. We still don't have the audit from FY25. It should be a concern to people in the public. We've already had issues about the fire truck and money that we thought we had, we didn't have. Well, this is why we need our audit done. And I just want to also say that I am running for town council. And I've lived in Gray for a very long time. My dad was a selectman, and I would like to think that I'm going to give this a try. I want to give it my best. I want to be exactly the same things I just said, conscientious. I want to be nice. And so anyway, I just hope that the people out there will vote for me. I've been out to these meetings. I have been involved. And it is a long time sitting here sometimes. And so, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Is there anybody else from the audience? Okay, please go. And while she's getting out, is there anybody on the line, Kyle, that's raising their hand?
There is nobody raising
Okay,
their
all
hand.
right, thank you. Sorry.
Hi, Tammy Dwyer. First, I want to thank everybody for being a council person. I rarely criticize because I think it's easy to do that, quite frankly. It's like, I'm not running for town council. I'm not sitting up there. And so I appreciate all the work that you do. My ask is I hope the next council are role models on social media. I'm fairly new to Gray, and the misinformation, like, I'm trying to be an informed voter. I volunteered all my life. I've never been involved in kind of local politics. And so this is kind of my first venture into it. And it's hard to not be on social media, but the misinformation, even when I was here at town council, and I think people were talking about the contract, and I believe it was Judy who said that Raymond had 11,000 residents and they don't have a contract with the police. And I was like, wow, Raymond has 11,000 residents and they don't have, and it's like, no, they have 4,000.
4,400 or something. In the summer, yeah, and so, but you can see how that's like partial information. And so all I'm saying is, respect the voters of Gray and provide, if we can, as much real information. And I know everybody, including myself, we all have on our agenda, right, of what we think is important. And so of course that's true. And we can make numbers look any way we want, right? Like I understand that. But what I've also seen is we understand that if we're adding a service, like we all collectively understand that if we're adding a service to a town, it's gonna cost money. However, it kind of feels like we're gonna save $800 and the narrative is we won't have a contract, and guess what, guys? It's not really gonna have any loss at all to your safety. That doesn't seem logical to me. So the truth is probably somewhere in between, right? I don't think not having the sheriff contract will turn into like a criminal haven. But there is a loss as well of a benefit to the town. So thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, let's see. All right. So I am going to close, since there's nobody else. And we are going to go into old business. All right, so unfinished business. Second and final reading. Order 2526-38, amendments to Chapter 504. The next item on the agenda requires a public hearing and a first reading of the proposed amendments to Chapter 504. I will now open the public hearing. Do I have, well, I first need a motion, right? Or is that, no, not until the, so open the public hearing. Okay, so I guess we could open the public hearing first, is that, okay, all right, sorry. Sometimes I get confused with this, so I'm going to open a public hearing on Order 2526-38, amendments to Chapter 504. Yes, ma'am.
I don't remember what that one is. One's the transfer station, one's for the,
That is the transfer station.
This one's
This one's the transfer station? Yes, okay. These are different.
okay, so one had to do with the actual policy, and the other one had to do with the processing at the transfer station. So there's two, right? So I'm not quite sure where I'm supposed to be, but this is what I have to say, and then you can tell me to sit down and come back or whatever. And it has to do with a rumor I heard. You know, we've always used the transfer station to meet people, you know, over the fence type socializing all these years. And, you know, many of us have used that facility to run petitions, you know, run as candidates and meet people and stuff like that. So I heard a rumor that anyone who wants to do a petition would need a what do you call it? Contract, a register. They needed to register in order to run. So I hope
I was going to add, let's just find out. I don't think that's true, is it? No. Fran, that's where you heard that rumor from, and that's why, like this young lady said earlier about, you know,
well,
rumors
that's
and
why
stuff
I'm
like
here.
that. No, so we're going to address
That's
it right
why I'm
here.
here.
This
Yeah,
is a
let's-
public comment about that.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Okay, good. Well, that's what I wanted to speak to,
Okay.
because certainly that should not be taking place at all. The manager of the facility shouldn't be able to make those kind of judgment calls,
I think-
correct?
I think the only time it would be an issue is if that people that are getting petitions or things signs are affecting the operation
Sure.
or being in the way.
Exactly.
And I would just ask that people that go collect signatures just do it in a respectful, responsible way.
Right.
And if they didn't, then I think John obviously would bring that up to us and would have to do something.
Okay.
Well, he'd bring up to Lauren. Yes.
Oh,
All right,
Yes.
so I just wanted to bring it on the table.
Okay.
Thank you.
And, you know, make sure that things are still going to progress as they always have been for at least the 53 years that I've lived in town.
Cool.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
I appreciate it.
John, can you come up and talk about this, please?
And just to clarify, there's, from all sides, I think, John, you and I talked about this. We got a lot of phone calls over the last few weeks about people saying this person couldn't be here, this person couldn't be there, and we clarified it that, you know, that's not the case. Everyone, you know, I don't think we actually have a policy, but we do allow people to go in there regardless. Is that correct, as long as they're not in the way?
Correct. So we do have a solicitation application, and that's for people soliciting for a profit, like selling bananas out of the box or whatever it may be. As far as campaigning or collecting petitions, that's constitutionally protected, and you're free to come into the transfer station and do so. We like a little notice. We prefer not to hinder traffic flow. That's the only activity that we do allow inside the gates of the transfer station. Every other type of solicitation, whether you're selling Girl Scout cookies or anything like that, is outside of the gates in front of the salt shed, just to allow traffic to flow through. Then people can pull over and make a purchase there. So as far as campaigning or collecting petitions, folks are welcome to do so. They're protected.
Thanks, John.
All right, thank you.
It should be second reading.
Yeah, I'll make sure that, yeah. Because it says it's final reading, it's, okay, yeah, yeah.
So it was I that had trouble at the transfer station. So when I went to campaign in the transfer station, I went over to let the gentleman know that I was going to be campaigning, and he said, you have to get an application. And I said, why do I got to get it? For what? And he said, well, you need to. I said, well, David Hall's over there campaigning. Did he get one? He goes, well, I don't know. And I said, well, let's go ask him. So we went over and asked David, and David said, no, he did not have an application, that he was told by Mike Johnson that it was okay to do that, which it is. So, and so I just said, well, if he didn't have to have one, I'm not going to get one. And so then I went around the other side to campaign, and he came back over, and he was on the phone with somebody, and he said, well, was you? He was on the phone with, and he said, yeah.
Lauren and I spoke, yes.
Yeah, so he said, that's why. He said, well, and he basically said if I was getting signatures, I needed an application. And I'm like, well, I'm not getting signatures. So he was still confused at that then, because it seems like if I was going to do a petition, get signatures, I needed one, but that's not what I was doing. So I guess it needs to be clear that nobody needs an application, right?
That's what we just said, yeah.
Okay.
You good?
All right.
You know, I think to be fair for everybody is that, you know, John's new at this. We're going to be learning stuff. You know, sometimes we get information that we're told from either previous managers, counselors, and that's the information that we provide. And when we find out it's different, we try to clarify it. Some people don't want to hear it or whatever, but we do try to do the best job. And you know, I don't care, you know, what side of the fence you're on. None of us intentionally lies. You know, we just give the best information that we have, and as soon as we know that they aren't working 7 days a week, they're only working 4 days a week, we provide that. But, you know, it's the information that we're provided, and I will tell you, as far as myself and most of us, we're really good about documenting everything to show that it was sent to us. So if this is what this gentleman, you know, thought that he was supposed to do, you know, we're not going to ding people for trying to do their job, and we appreciate John's team for just, you know, the rules are different now that, you know, now that he's there, and he's going to be learning stuff.
To clarify, that was an employee, and he was on the phone with me. Oh, it was you? And then I corrected the employee to let him know that you are constitutionally protected to go in there and campaign and petition or collect signatures. So that was dealt with on the spot, and you were allowed to remain there, I believe. So, yeah, okay. So, and then after that situation, the team got together and we discussed the difference between solicitation and campaigning and collecting signatures, so.
Thanks, John.
Anyone else?
All right.
All right, so I'm going to close the public comment unless there's anybody online, Kyle? Kyle?
Not. There is not.
Okay, all right. So now, do I have a motion be ordered that the Gray Town Council hereby approves the second reading of the proposed amendments to Chapter 504 Solid Waste Flow Control Recycling and Transfer Station Ordinance as presented with said amendments to take effect in 30 days? Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by
I'll
Vince.
second that.
Second by Ken. I am going to open the floor to council discussion, and why don't I start on my right this time? Ken?
I think the transfer station is amazing now. John's done a great job and his crew. So I'm glad we passed this, and we'll move forward from here.
Vince?
None?
Ann?
Nothing for me?
Charity?
Nothing from me?
Can we just take a vote? Is it, I think we're going to go with unanimous consent? Is everyone okay with that?
Aye.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Order 2526-39, amendments to Chapter 502. And I'll actually give a little bit more detail than this time. The next item on the agenda requires a public hearing, and I think there's a second reading as well, of the proposed amendments to Chapter 502. And I am going to open up the public hearing, but before I do that, this is the parking ordinance as presented, okay? And I am going to open up the public hearing. Anybody online?
No.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, gone. I'm closing public hearing. And let's see here. Motion be ordered that the Gray Town Council hereby approves the second reading of the proposed amendments to Chapter 502, parking ordinance as presented, with said amendments to take effect in 30 days. Do I have a motion?
A motion?
Motion from Ken,
So moved.
second with Ann, and I will go in the other direction. Ann, I'm going to open the floor up for you.
I know, no comments on the parking ordinance.
Okay, thank you, Ann. Charity?
I don't have any comments on the parking.
Vince?
None?
Ken?
I'm all set.
I think, can we just go to unanimous consent as well with this one? All right, excellent. Order 2526-40, amendments to Chapter 205. The next item on the agenda requires a public hearing and second reading of the proposed amendments to Chapter 205. I will now open to public hearing, and it is the animal control ordinance that we're opening it up to. Is there anybody that would like to get up and talk about the animal control ordinance? Okay. Online?
No.
Thank you. Going once, going twice, closed. All right. So the motion be ordered that the Gray Town Council hereby approves the second reading of the proposed amendments to Chapter 205, Animal Control Ordinance as presented with said amendments to take effect in 30 days. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion Ann,
Second?
second Ken, and I am going to open the floor up, and I'm going to ask Charity, do you have anything you want to mention?
I do not have anything I want to mention.
Vince?
None?
Ann?
Yeah, I actually do have a question. First of all, I really appreciate the good work on these ordinances. I think they're much improved. But I just had a question about, given the high cost of veterinarian care these days, I wonder what the town's obligation is to provide care for an animal whose owner can't be immediately found. I mean, so if there's a dog hit by a car or something like that, and they take it to a vet, my concern is that it seems to me the town could be in a position where we incur significant costs and the owner refuses or is unable to pay. And I don't know that we budgeted for that, and honestly, I know pets are very important to people, as they have been for me in my past, but if we're going to be giving concessions to people, I guess I'd rather do it for people, put it in the GA fund or something like that. So anyway, I don't know, I don't want to hold this process up, but I just wondered if we could get some clarification on that.
And Lauren, so it's funny you bring this up, because I called Lauren about this when I was doing warrants the other day, because there was a $1,000 bill for a dog having quills removed, and my first comment was is that, well, I mean, of course I'll let them take it, and then I just won't pay the bill, you know. And did we ever find that answer out?
We bill the owner of the animal for those, and I forget what your question was.
Well, I mean, okay, you know, I guess my question, and maybe Ann, you can jump in here. My question first is that, you know, okay, we bill them, but do we have like you know, if a dog gets hit, okay, I mean, you could run up to a $20,000 bill.
Right.
All right. I hate to, listen, and my sister, if she's watching, she'll shoot me when I walk through the door, but she'll pay the 20 grand. I will not. Do we have a like a guideline, like if it's over this, we're not doing it, or is it just what is there?
As part of the contract, we are required to not provide, but we are not allowed to bring an animal to the shelter if it has a medical issue. We are required to get the vet care. So if the animal control officer picks up a dog, for example, that is injured, we're not permitted to just bring it to the shelter. We're required to provide the care for it before they'll take it. So that gets billed to us, yes, and then we bill the owner.
Is there any way, and I know this would be slightly cumbersome to set up, but once in place, is there any way that when people come in to register their dog, we could have some kind of form that in addition to registering the dog, we say if for some reason your dog gets loose or your pet gets loose and has an injury, what amount, if we had to bring it to an emergency, would you be willing to pay? And then have that written down, and then somehow just have that on a database where like everybody that's registered, the guy that does the dog catcher or whoever that person can just look it up and it says, you know, this is what they committed to and signed for.
I don't know.
Actually, John, if you've got some input here, I would love it, because this is, it just came up for me this week, and I'm glad you brought it up, Ian, because yeah.
Hi, John Powers, former ACO for 5 years for the town of Gray as well. I just wanted to point out that Maine Title VII, subsection 3948 says, -2, medical attention. Law enforcement officers and animal control officers shall take a stray animal to its owner, if known, or if the owner is unknown, shall ensure that any injured companion animal that is at large or in a public way is given proper medical attention. So by law, the town is required to provide that medical attention.
Thank you, Tom.
And then we can pass the bill on to you.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for clarification.
All right.
Okay.
All right, well, I guess that answers
It
that.
doesn't matter how I feel.
It's a fair question, though.
It is
Good question.
actually a good question. All right, that was actually my question. Have you guys gone yet?
I have no questions. Yeah, I think we've
I'm good.
All right, I'm actually going to take a vote on this one. So I'll start on my right. Does anybody else have anything? No? Okay, so I'm going to take a vote. Yes?
Yes.
Yes? Ian?
Yes.
Yes. I'm a yes. I'm a yes. All right. So new business. Resolve, one reading required. Resolve 2526-43. This is the Boston Post-Kane nomination. Motion, be resolved that the Gray Town Council designate Eleanor Miriam Bisbee as the Town of Gray's Boston Kane recipient based on the submitted nomination and supported documentation verifying eligibility to be formally presented at the Town Council meeting on June 16th, 2026. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And second?
Second?
Second. Ken? Okay, so now we're going to open the floor to any public discussion.
103.
Yeah.
103.
She's a winner.
She's so winner.
Yeah, exactly. All right, awesome.
2 games.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody else have anything they want to say? All right, I'm going to close the public discussion. Does anybody on the council have anything that they'd like to say?
God bless her.
Yeah.
God bless her.
I just want to say I think that it's well deserved. I was very happy when I saw that the nomination was coming up, I was wondering, is it going to be Miriam? And then I saw the nominations for her, and I said, that is awesome. So that's all that I have to say in regard to that.
She's a
So,
marvelous person.
She is.
Yep, absolutely. All right, guys. Because I just wanted to see this. All in favor? Okay, unanimous consent. All right. Order, one reading, Order 2526-41, MSAD 15 Budget Validation Referendum Warrant. Motion, be ordered that the Gray Town Council hereby countersigns the MSAD 15 Budget Validation Referendum Warrant and Notice of Election for June 9th, 2026 referendum. Do I have a motion?
Motion?
Motion, Ken, second Vince. And I am going to open the floor up for any public discussion. Anybody online? Take it as a no.
No.
And one, anybody, two, three, closed. All right, so now the floor. Is there anybody that would like to make any comments about the warrant? Okay.
No.
No? Okay. All right, then I am just going to go to a vote then. All in favor of the warrant for MSAD 15? All in favor. Thank you. Order 2526-42, authorizing the transfer from debt service reserves. Motion be ordered that the Town Council of the Town of Gray, acting as a trustee of the municipal reserve funds pursuant to AMRS 502. And just a quick question for Brett. That symbol before the 502, what is that called?
Section.
Subsection, okay, all right. I knew that, but I couldn't remember. All right, subsection 5802. Hereby authorize I, the transfer station of $211,155 from the Debt Services Reserve Account to the Fire and Public Safety Reserve Account to support the purchase of the rescue pumper. And II, the closure of the Debt Services Reserve Account due to the lack of ongoing purpose. Do I have a motion? Motion, Vince. Do I have a second? Ann. I am now going to open up the floor for any discussion. I mean, not the floor, I'm sorry, the public for any discussion. Is there anybody online, Kyle, for this one?
No.
Okay. Gone. I am going to open up the floor to council discussion on the motion. Do I have anybody in the council that would like to say anything?
Nope.
Okay. I'm just going to go into a vote. All in favor of this motion? All yeses, thank you. Order 2526-43, authorizing the transfer from Land Acquisition Reserve. Motion ordered that the Town Council in the Town of Gray, acting pursuant to its authority under Article 1, Section 2 of the Town Charter, hereby authorizes the transfer of $259,000. $59,855. Okay. It'd be easy if I saw the numbers. $259,855 from the Land Acquisition Reserve Fund account to the Fire and Public Safety Reserve account to support the purchase of the rescue pumper. Do I have a motion? Motion, Vince?
Second?
Second, Ken. I'm going to open up the floor for discussion.
Ashley Zimmerman, 87 Blueberry Lane. So last time this was brought up, I think it was like a couple months ago, or a few months ago, Councilor Gass had asked y'all how you plan to pay this money back, and that question was ignored multiple times, and eventually sort of a half answer given of we're just focused on the here and now. I don't see how failing to plan financially for the future is fiscally responsible. Is there a plan on how this money is going to be paid back? I know this isn't a back and forth, but if this could be addressed at some point, is there a tangible plan?
I do think, and actually Ms. Gass actually brought this up, and actually Sam Feifel brought this up. We can't make a plan legally, okay? Is that correct? Is that we can talk about it, but we can't commit the next committee, isn't that
We can't
the truth?
obligate future councils for the repayment of this, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we would hope that's, you know, if you get elected, then I certainly hope that you do what we'd like, but, you know, you don't have to. is the answer. Okay?
But that's the only thing that's troubling about that is that it's kind of just kicking the can down the road and making it a future council's problem, where this is basically being done to fix the previous council's mistake, and we're just kind of perpetuating the same issue, and not even like floating ideas out. I don't know. That's just I'm speaking. I just think that's troubling, and also I'm not speaking when people are up here talking. Could I please have some courtesy to be able to speak and use my public comment? So I think it's troubling that there wasn't even any just throwing ideas out there. It's a lot of money, and I don't know how we plan on paying that back. It was supposed to be used for the town to help purchase properties, to help development or keep it open space, and now we're just kind of robbing from Peter to pay Paul, and I don't think that's fiscally responsible.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
No, we're not going to argue.
Okay.
No, that's not what this is
That's
for.
what I'm asking about.
Thank you, absolutely.
I'll speak when I get to speak.
Is there anybody else that would like to get up and speak? Anybody online?
No.
Okay, so I am going to, now, we've done the motion, okay, so, done opposite the other way. So I am going to open up the floor for council discussion, and I'll start to my right. Ken, do you have anything?
The whole thing was kind of a fiasco, to answer Ashley's question. So, something had to be done. This was dropped in our lap. So, right or wrong, I'm sure they will pay the money back eventually. Somebody will. And that's all I have to say on this, Donna.
Rich?
No, I would agree with you. I understand where you're coming from. And as he said, it kind of got dropped on our lap. It was prior town councilors that had not, quite honestly, not kept their eye on the ball and not watched what was going on. And the alternative would be to borrow the money, and that's where we got stuck, which is, do you borrow the money and then you're paying interest on that, which is incurring more debt and putting us further in the ditch. So it's a stinky situation, but you're right. Next year, my goal is I want to pay that back. That's where it goes, and people voted on it. So mentally, my position is I want to put that money back. How much can we do? We'll see next year, but we will absolutely work to it. And that was my commitment, that we will absolutely work to it, at least from personally. Yep, no, thank you.
Thank you. Ann?
Yeah, I mean, I understand that legal counsel has advised us that this is legal to do, but we could have borrowed the money, and I think we should have. I'm opposing this because, and also this was not something that we discussed in any kind of detail. It was a last-minute decision. I think the last budget meeting. I hadn't heard about it previously. No one brought that to me. And I am opposing it because this council can't obligate future councils, as we discussed. I think there's significant risks that the money won't be repaid. This money is effectively lost to us for the coming 12 months. In addition to land conservation, I think it's important for people to understand that these funds can be used for economic development purposes. For example, buying a parcel of land in the village or a building so we can control what happens to it in the future. One of our land trust partners could approach us anytime in the next year for help in conserving a parcel, and we might not have the money. The 2020 comp plan, approved by roughly 80% of voters, made it very clear that retaining Gray's rural character was very important to most residents. And the only way that we can do that is to conserve it. The only way that we can guarantee going forward that the land stays undeveloped is by purchasing it, or purchasing, the development rights, having an easement. All of that costs money, and I think it's wrong to expect large landholders to simply, go, for years on end, just expect that they're going to make their properties available to us to recreate on. And I think they should be compensated for, if they want to sell their properties or provide easements. Development pressure in Gray is continuing, and I think we really needed to keep this money in the land acquisition fund. So I guess that's all I have to say.
Well, thank you. Charity.
I'm really torn by this one. Was it me earlier?
Probably.
Probably. I'm really torn by this one. The last thing I want to be doing is taking money from an account to cover the cost of a mistake. But I also don't want to be borrowing money either. So this one's been rather difficult for me. My hope is that the next town council does find a way to pay this money back. And that's where I stand on that.
All right, thank you. You know, this is one of those things that I agree with Ann. I don't like taking the money out of something that we've already said we're going to do. I don't. It feels like we've already made a promise, but we're not going to do it. I also don't like the fact that, you know, we do this all at the last minute. And this is the last time as chair I'm going to preach this. Please, and it's not up to the council, it's up to the town. We need to have our budget process done way earlier so that the public can have input and people have an opportunity to talk about this stuff. Otherwise, we're going to wind up like this every year. We can't borrow money. I don't believe in taking out a loan. But I do like, I don't like this. I don't think this is the way to run things. And I think we've got to do a better job. And that's everybody. That's not just the people on the council. It's the town and the citizens as well. And that's, you know, I'm going to vote for it, but it's not the way I want to do business. Anybody have any other input they want to say? Okay. I am going to take a vote. Ken? Vince?
In favor for it?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Carrie's yes, and you're no.
No.
Yep, no, and I get it. All right, excellent, 4-1. Referrals. The opportunity to allow councilors to bring forward any additional item for future discussion and consideration at a workshop. In accordance with the council rules, at least 2 councilors must support a request for adding to the workshop agenda. The current council referrals are the comprehensive planning rezoning, the create water quality shoreland ordinance, the pop-up business ordinance, the updated public safety ordinance, the VTP or the Village Transformation Project, the policy review, the mooring ordinance, and the self-insured program risk pool. And I really think it's important that the 3 councilors are going to be here next year, that we look again this fall and maybe clean this up like we have been doing for the last few years and events. And either keep them on there or get them off. Upcoming events, Election Day, June 9th, 2026, 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. There's a town council meeting, June 16th, 2026 at 7 p.m. and that is where we're going to swear in the new councilors. Is that correct, Lauren?
Yes.
Okay. And executive session. I have a motion. The Gray Town Council will enter into the executive session and the MRSA subsection 405-6E for consultations with the town attorney regarding legal rights and responsibilities. Do I have a motion?
Motion?
Motion,
I'll
Ken.
second.
Second, Ann. And all in favor? All opposed?
No, sorry.
All right. Sorry. I'm not going in.